Ghost with Cats, Chapter 29. Old Kingdom Prejudices. When Annie went downstairs, she was dressed for combat. Yuri and Boaz didn't look surprised. Vorn was standing next to a shorter, overweight version of a cipher. He was wearing the same uniform Vorn was wearing the first time they met, and had the same side-shaved head and with back braid. There were also two more sword pets, and a tall, lean Eloh with buzz-cut hair and hawk-like features framed by facial implants. Breeze was happy to see her. He bowed as expected, but grinned at her, trying to maintain his place. There was a tiny brown kitten on his shoulder. "We need to hurry. Collie is torturing him. I made him sleep, I think," Annie told Vorn. Vorn bowed. "Did you see him, Lady Annie?" She reached up and rubbed her shoulder. "I dreamed she was beating and clawing him because he refused to comply. He was suffering. When I spoke his name, his eyes glowed white and he looked at me. I told him I loved him and to go to sleep. I was coming for him. And he did. Callie got terribly angry." The other cipher's jaw fell open, but he didn't speak to her. He just kept looking between Vorn and her feet. "You may speak to me, cipher," Annie said tiredly. "I am Cipher Janif Maller, Tier 19, Lady Annie. It is my honor to speak to you." He introduced himself. "How is it that you dream speak to the Master? You are not Eloh." His tone was dismissive. "Regent Vance True discovered my ancestry included Eloh, who visited our world many generations ago. It is he who introduced your master and me when we were still little children, and just about everything else involved in our two peoples. It's been a learning curve, as we call it here." Annie watched his reaction closely. His snide expression made her eyes narrow as she continued. "There is much True found out but never bothered to tell anyone. There is much we are discovering we can do together." Janif Mallor's dismissive snort was not missed by her. "Anything else you want to know, Cipher Janif?" she drawled contritely. All she wanted to do was rescue Tall and not deal with some clueless idiot with a superiority complex. Vorn tried not to make a face. He could sense that Annie was getting angry, and Mallory's arrogant attitude was making it worse. He opened his mouth to say something, but Sharon gave a slight shake of her head. She had seen Annie get like this, and did not want Vorn to be on the receiving end of that rage. Let Mr. Arrogant hang himself, Sharon thought angrily, and was surprised when Vorn raised an eyebrow at her. Janif seemed flustered for a moment. "Forgive me, my lady, but this all seems too fanciful." "More fanciful than Lady Callie allying herself with one of the evilest men on my world to lure the admint here so she can murder him and steal his fleet in order to overthrow your king? Or is your elitist divided society supported by mass-made slavery too good for a civil war?" Annie suggested boldly. Janif gaped at her, saying nothing for several minutes. Then Annie smiled at him in a cold way and drawled, "What's the matter, darling? Cat got your tongue?" "Lady Annie, it has been a trying period for all of us," Vorn said calmly. He was worried that her anger was going to set Breeze off, who, the sword pet, had risen from his bar stool and placed the tiny kitten he called Bear on the counter surface. "For some more than others, Vorn," Annie snapped, then took a deep breath and held up her hands apologetically. "Sorry. It ain't you I'm mad at." "Lady Annie, this is obviously an Eloh matter and doesn't concern your, people. We will investigate the event and take the appropriate action," Janeth announced, almost sarcastically, picking a piece of cat hair off his sleeve. He looked back toward her in a dismissive manner. Her eyes narrowed again dangerously. Vaughan decided his first instinct to dislike this cipher when they met after the last lottery was not being judgmental due to the man's poor physical condition and elitist mentality. Vaughan truly disliked him. "You do that," ciphered Janeth, "and meanwhile I'll go save Tall, even if I only have Breeze and my people to do it with. Oh, and one more thing, Mr. Snarky Pants. Why don't you strip naked and go play dangle the crab bait in the bay? It's that way," she declared viciously, jerking her thumb over her shoulder in the direction of the bay before she stormed out. Breeze, glaring openly at the cipher, followed Lady Annie, as did the other two pets. They would go where the master's inked one went. "I would be careful, Malor," Vaughan warned in their language. "You do not know whom you insult." "She is a subspecies female from an untreated planet," Malor scoffed. "You are wrong. Our treaties with certain tribes of these people go back over 5,000 years. Our people even intermarried with them secretly for generations. She is a princess among one of those tribes, and was promised to our master since they were children. Even now she carries his ink." Vaughan resisted smiling as Malor's jaw dropped. Then Vaughan continued. "A renegade group of their people have helped our master's enemy to abduct him, and will attempt to murder him now, which has happened almost daily since we arrived here. She and her primitive people have kept us alive against all odds. If this is too much to deal with, you may return to the first dagger or the first scythe, while we await the time to rescue the master." "This is highly irregular. It is not part of cipher training or duties," Malor complained. "Perhaps not for your tier, but a cipher must be able to adapt to whatever is required of him to serve his master. Our master is a warrior, and we must be too," Vaughan reminded coolly, adding, "Pilot Ellis, Hoth, please return Cipher Janeth to the dagger. Field duty is not part of his training to serve the Admant." Janeth Malor looked horrified at his reprimand and dismissal, but he couldn't refuse the higher-tiered cipher command. He stomped out. Sharon slid a bag of cookies across the counter to the pilot and smiled. Hoth bowed to her and took them shyly. The pilot hopped off the bar stool and bowed to Vaughan before following the cipher back out to the flyer hidden among the dunes. Sharon came around the kitchen counter and hugged Vaughan. "That man is lucky Annie didn't kill him." "He is lucky I did not kill him," Vaughan confessed, giving her a light lick on the temple. "He is everything that is wrong with the kingdom right now. I shall have to request our sect reassign him. He is not a suitable candidate for the master's house." "Why do you even have to work with that wretched man?" "Cipher Mesh Lori did not survive the last lottery as the master did," he answered coldly. Sharon shuddered, hugging him tighter. "What will happen the next time they call you?" she whispered timidly. She couldn't bear the thought of him being forced to cheat on her, but if it meant he would live. Vorn tipped her chin up and looked in her eyes. "Nothing. Now that I have you, there is no amount of drug or abuse that will ever make me comply. It is like that story from your scriptures about the man who found a pearl of great price. He sold all he had to possess it. You are my pearl. All I am is for you alone." Vorn pressed his lips against hers, and she melted into him. "Oh, my word, get a room!" Annie said, walking in with Brees and the two other sword pets. "Vorn, tell them they have to talk to me and look at me. Brees did, and they don't believe him." Vorn ordered the two sword pets in their language, and both looked fearful and surprised. Annie stood in front of them. Brees was almost laughing. "I'm Lady Annie. Hello, Burke." She held out her hand, but he didn't move. She took Burke's large hand, put it in hers, making him shake it. "Now you say hello." Burke murmured a sound, but still wouldn't make eye contact. "I'm Lady Annie. Hello, Beatty." She held out her hand to Beatty, who reached out timidly and took her hand, peeking at her, but he didn't speak. "Well, it's a start. Are y'all hungry?" she asked them. Bree spoke to them in a deep, rumbling tone, and they answered. Burke nodded once, bowing, but Beatty bowed and whispered timidly, "Beatty is hungry, Lady Annie." "What did y'all say to them, Breeze?" Annie asked. Breeze said pets must answer, or Lady Annie would not give pets dessert, and Beatty and Burke would want dessert. Breeze answered with a broad grin. Sharon and Annie started laughing, but Vorn just rolled his eyes. Annie grinned and unashamedly declared to Vorn, "I know he's spoiled. It's my fault. I guess y'all just have to leave him here with us." "I do not believe the master will agree," Vorn retorted blandly, but he smiled. After giant helpings of pot roast and potatoes, the sword pets each ate an entire fruit and cream pie. Annie asked if they wanted more dinner or pie, but they said they were satisfied, so she gave them the remaining chocolate bars to take home with them. They agreed with Breeze. Lady Annie was the nicest sister they could have. They hoped the master kept her. They were sad when Breeze told them she must stay here where she would be safe. As they talked in the dialect of the Made Ones, Breeze revealed to them that Lady Annie taught him to turn sadness into strength and honor for those who were lost or left behind. Beatty thought it was a good lesson, while Burke wondered who would protect her if they and the master left. Breeze laughed and explained that Lady Annie could protect herself and had many warrior friends. He revealed to them she rescued him, Vorn, and the master the first day they met, how she helped them and even healed him when he was shot and hurt by the bear. Both stared at him amazed. No one cared enough for pets to rescue or heal them. Pets were made to die. Breeze explained to them that Lady Annie taught him pets are meant to live with honor before they die, that their death was a gift not to be wasted because their life was precious too. It was different from the way anyone had ever treated their kind on Eloh. Annie's rules for survival played in her mind like a mantra as she and Vorn discussed rescuing Tall. She had to believe Tall would survive long enough for them to find him. Vorn said he could sense his master was still alive, but Annie told him not to tell her more. Tall was alive. She focused on that. Pilot Elis Hoth returned very quickly. So quickly, Annie wondered about the speed of the Eloh craft, if the larger ships were hidden behind the moon. He adapted to being expected to talk to Lady Annie and Lady Sharon much easier than the sword pets. Hoth was amazed at how kind the females of this world were, even to sword pets. He was also amazed at how many skills they had. Lady Annie asked him all kinds of questions about their tech and his implants, which helped him fly. She was truly concerned that the implants hurt him. She asked about his childhood and how long he had been a pilot. She explained that her father was a pilot in their Air Force, a branch of the military, used for air combat and reconnaissance, and she also could fly aircraft. She was sad to learn she wouldn't be able to learn to fly Eloh craft without implants and years of neuro training. Hoth found he liked this one his master shared his ink with. He hoped they would get to keep her. He listened to the sword pet called Breeze, describing all he had done and experienced on this world to his fellow pets. Hoth was curiously amazed at how Lady Annie treated the sword pet and all the things she taught him. Her attitude toward the pets and all those of lower tier was unlike any he had ever encountered. Hoth shared the pet's sadness when Breeze explained how the master said they would not be able to take her with them. But Hoth understood. Eloh was not a safe place for a caring female such as Lady Annie. Boaz and Yuri arrived after dinner. They found the location of the yacht on a spy satellite. They finalized plans with Vorn to have the Slipper-class flyers ready to very obviously punch the atmosphere in Utah, Colorado, and a few random places around the world. It would cause a stir, but no one would be looking at Texas.